Who brings a child to a place where they clearly don't belong? That's what the hostess thought when she saw Louise Harper walk into the city's most expensive restaurant with a little boy and a crumpled coupon in her hand. But what she didn't see was the reason behind it. Louise wasn't there for attention. She was there because her son had one wish on his birthday: to eat at the place his dad once promised to take him before vanishing from their lives. She expected judgment. She expected stares. What she didn't expect was the man at the corner table, the one who watched it all happen. And when everyone turned away, he stood up. What followed wasn't charity. It was fate, and it would change everything for Louise and her son. Before we dive into the story, comment below where you're watching from. Enjoy the story, everyone. Louise clutched the worn envelope in her coat pocket as she pushed open the heavy glass door. The scent hit her first: butter, white truffle, aged wine. Her heels clicked against the marble, echoing like she didn't belong. She glanced down at Ben, whose too short dress pants brushed his ankles, the knees permanently creased from playground falls. He held her hand with the tightness of a child who knew too well what disappointment felt like. The hostess barely masked her expression, that look of tight-lipped control with a side of concealed judgment. "Can I help you?" Louise smiled the way you do when you're pretending not to notice someone scanning your coat for holes. "Reservation for Harper." The woman glanced at the screen, hesitated. "I'm sorry, I don't see a Harper. We called earlier. There was a birthday promotion running this week." Ben tugged at Louise's sleeve. "Mom, it smells like the food from the cooking shows." Louise knelt beside him. "I know, baby. Just a minute, okay?" The hostess raised an eyebrow. "Do you have the certificate?" Louise handed it over. A printed flyer from a food blog's giveaway, one free birthday entree for children under 10. No expiration date, no restaurant logo. But it was valid. She'd called. Twice. The hostess took it like it might stain her manicured fingers. "I'll check with the manager." She disappeared. Louise stood in the small lobby, aware of the glances. Couples in silk and suit jackets. Someone whispered. Ben looked up at her and grinned. "This is so cool." He didn't see the stares. He didn't hear the laughter. He was just happy. She wouldn't cry. Not tonight. Not when they made it this far. "I want the rainbow drink," he said. "Like the one on the menu you showed me." "We'll see what they have, sweetheart." A voice cut through the silence. "This way, sir." From the corner of her eye, she noticed him, the man in the dark navy suit, just a little disheveled, like he didn't care about perfection. His tie was loosened, his expression unreadable. He was being led to a table near the back. Alone. Their eyes met for a brief moment. She looked away. The hostess returned, face taut. "I'm afraid we can't honor this promotion. It wasn't authorized by our PR team." Louise's stomach dropped. "But I confirmed." "I'm sorry," she interrupted crisply. "If you'd like to stay, we have availability after 8. You'll need to order from the main menu." Ben's fingers slipped into hers again. "Mom, it's okay, It's not okay," she whispered. She turned to go. Her face burned. But before she could take a step, a voice rang out, calm, low, and deliberate. "Excuse me." It was the man in the navy suit. The hostess turned. "Yes, sir?" He nodded toward Louise. "They're with me." A pause. Louise blinked. "I know we're not." He stepped closer. "You are now my table, my guest." The hostess hesitated, then stepped aside. Ben's eyes widened. "Mom?" Louise's voice was barely a breath. "I don't know what's happening." The man gave a small, almost imperceptible smile. "Then let's sit down and figure it out." Louise sat on the edge of the plush velvet chair like it might vanish underneath her. Ben bounced in the seat beside her, swinging his legs as he scanned the golden menus. The chandeliers overhead sparkled like stars, too bright. Too many. She had never been in a place like this. Certainly not with a child in tow. The man, her unexpected rescuer, sat across from them, unfazed by the sudden attention they drew. Waiters hovered nearby, unsure whether to intervene or bow. She cleared her throat. Look, thank you. But we don't want to cause any trouble. You're not, he said simply. But you don't even know us. He sipped his water. Should I? Louise blinked. No, I mean. Then let's start now. He extended a hand across the white linen. Jared Ellison. Her eyes widened. The name meant nothing at first, then hit her like a slow-moving wave. Jared Ellison. The Jared Ellison. Real estate magnate. Tech investor. Billionaire. She'd read about him in a headline once. Divorced. Elusive. Untouchable. She shook his hand, palm clammy. Louise. Harper. And this is my son, Ben. Ben grinned. Hi. It's my birthday. Jared smiled. Happy birthday, Ben. Think you can help me pick something good off this menu? I never know what to get. Ben took the assignment very seriously, leaning over the leather-bound book. Louise watched him, her heart thudding unevenly. Why did you do that? She asked quietly, voice tight. He didn't pretend not to understand. Because no one else did. You don't know why we're here. I don't need to. Louise looked down at her folded hands. This wasn't some stunt. I wasn't looking for pity. I didn't offer pity, he said. I offered a table. The words hit harder than she expected. Ben leaned over. Mr. Jared? What's pate? Jared leaned in. Fancy meat paste. Not very birthday-ish. Ben giggled. Then I want the mac and cheese. Solid choice. The waiter appeared, less stiff now. Jared ordered without glancing at the prices. Louise mumbled something about the grilled chicken. Her throat still felt raw. As the waiter left, Jared leaned back. So, what brings you to Ludor? She hesitated. Then, a promise. He didn't respond immediately. Louise glanced at Ben, who was now occupied with the colored sugar cubes meant for tea. His dad said he'd take him here. Years ago. Before he left. Ben never forgot. Jared's expression didn't change. So you kept the promise he didn't. I tried. She looked away. We don't really fit in here. I don't think that's true. Louise laughed softly. You don't know us. I'm getting to. The food came, ornate and steaming. Ben's mac and cheese arrived on a silver platter decorated with microgreens. He wrinkled his nose but dug in with a smile. Louise barely touched her plate. Jared watched her. How old is he? 8 today. And you? How old were you when you had him? Too young. 21. Doing it alone ever since? She nodded. There's no family nearby. Just us. He nodded slowly, then asked, What do you do? I'm a cleaner. Offices mostly. Some houses. Nights and weekends. He didn't flinch. No pity. No correction. Louise glanced at him. And you? I buy things, he said dryly, and hope they don't collapse. She smiled in spite of herself. Sounds stressful. It is. Ben's voice cut through. This is the best birthday ever. Louise swallowed the sudden lump in her throat. I'm glad, baby. Jared leaned forward, elbows on the table. What would make it even better? Ben thought. Cake. I think we can do something about that. He motioned to the waiter, murmured something. Minutes later, a small chocolate cake appeared, candles already lit. The staff began singing softly, a toned-down but genuine celebration. Ben's eyes glowed. He looked at his mother. Can I make a wish? Of course. He closed his eyes tight, blew out the candles, and the room, for just a moment, held its breath. The candles were gone, but the warmth lingered. Ben dug into his cake with the focused joy of someone who didn't often get dessert that wasn't store-bought or split with mom. Louise watched him quietly, trying to anchor herself to the present, to this strange, impossible moment where everything felt too good to be real. Jared didn't rush. He let the silence stretch comfortably between them, sipping his espresso, eyes thoughtful. He wasn't like the men Louise had met before. He didn't fill the space with noise. Didn't try to impress her or outshine her. And yet somehow he still did. You don't have to stay, she said, more to herself than to him. I know. Then why are you? He looked at her, his expression unreadable. You ever watch someone get humiliated in front of a crowd and feel like it rewinds your whole life? She blinked. I saw myself in you. That's all. She didn't know what that meant, not really, but the honesty in his tone rooted her to the spot. Ben leaned across the table, chocolate on his lip. Can I show you my drawing? Please do. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his backpack. It was crinkled at the edges, but clearly loved, a sketch of a tall building with windows and a giant tree beside it. That's where we'll live someday, Ben said. Me and Mom. She says we'll find somewhere better soon. Jared took the drawing with more care than she expected. Looks like a good place. Ben grinned. You can come visit. Louise laughed softly. Ben, no, I mean it. He's nice. Jared smiled. Thank you, Ben. That means a lot. Louise reached for the drawing, but Jared held onto it just a second longer. May I keep this? Ben's eyes widened. Really? Jared nodded. It'll remind me what a good day feels like. He folded it neatly and slipped it into his jacket pocket. Louise didn't breathe until it was gone. They left the restaurant together. It was late now, the sky bruised with evening, wind just a little too sharp for comfort. Louise tugged Ben's jacket tighter around him, grateful the bus stop was only 2 blocks away. I'll call a car, Jared said. No, really, we're fine. The bus is cheap and he likes it. Ben nodded. It makes whoosh sounds. Jared looked unconvinced. Can I at least walk you there? She hesitated. If you want. They walked in silence for a bit. The sidewalk was cracked, the streetlights humming. Louise kept her hand on Ben's shoulder, steady and firm. When they reached the corner, the bus shelter sat crooked on its frame, one panel of glass missing. Jared looked at it, then at her. Is this really where you wait every night? Most nights. When I get off late. He shook his head. That doesn't sit right. Louise raised her chin. We're okay. I don't doubt that. She looked at him. I'm not asking for anything. I didn't say you were. The bus pulled up, rattling to a stop. Ben waved at Jared before climbing the steps. Louise paused beside him. Thank you, she said softly. For everything. You're welcome. She almost turned, but something stopped her. Why were you alone tonight? Jared blinked. Excuse me. You were sitting alone. At a place like that. No friends, no phone. Just watching. He seemed surprised. Then, because I used to think success meant eating in silence. She tilted her head. And now? He smiled. Now I think it means being invited to someone else's table. The door hissed closed between them. She watched him through the glass as the bus pulled away, still standing there, still looking up at her. And somehow, in all the chaos of her life, she felt seen. The next morning, Louise was already on her 3rd cup of instant coffee when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Hello? Is this Louise Harper? Yes. Whose? This is Natalie from the Ellison Foundation. Mr. Ellison asked us to reach out. She stood up so fast her knee hit the table. Sorry, what? He mentioned you might be a good candidate for one of our community grants. He said to tell you it's not charity, just a chance to breathe. Louise sat back down slowly. I didn't apply for anything. No need. He nominated you directly. She didn't speak. We'd like to cover 6 months of rent in advance and fund after-school programs for your son. Louise's chest tightened. This is a mistake. I don't think so, Natalie replied warmly. He also asked if he could stop by later today just to talk. Is that all right? Louise didn't know how to respond. She whispered, yeah. Okay. The line disconnected. By the time noon rolled around, she had vacuumed the apartment twice, hidden the dishes in the oven, and lit the one candle she kept for special days, usually reserved for job interviews or long overdue moments of peace. Ben sat on the couch, playing with a small plastic dinosaur. When is Mr. Jared coming? Soon, honey. Do I have to wear shoes? Just socks without holes. The knock was gentle but firm. She opened the door and there he was. No suit. No tie. Just jeans and a black coat, hair slightly windblown. He looked almost ordinary, but his presence still made the room feel smaller. Hi, he said. Hi. She stepped aside and he entered with that same quiet confidence she remembered. He looked around the modest apartment, nodded once, and said, "It's warm." "Thank you," she said, although she wasn't sure if it was a compliment or an observation. Ben waved from the couch. "Hi again." "Hey, buddy. Still celebrating? Mom says we can't have cake for breakfast." Jared grinned. "That's probably wise." Louise motioned toward the small table. "Would you like some coffee?" "Only if you're having some." She poured 2 mismatched mugs. They sat. "I didn't expect any of this," she admitted. "I know. And I'm not used to people like you just showing up." He stirred his coffee. "People like me? Rich. Important. Used to getting what they want." Jared raised an eyebrow. "You think I'm used to getting what I want? You just walked into my life and rewrote the rules." "I didn't rewrite anything," he said quietly. "I just saw someone being mistreated and I did what I hoped someone would do for my sister. Or my mom. Or me 10 years ago." She looked down at her hands. "And now what?" "That's up to you." "What do you mean?" "I want to help, but only if you want it. I don't want to be another man who shows up, makes promises, and disappears." Louise blinked. "You're not. I don't want to be something temporary." She paused. "What are you saying?" "I've been alone a long time, Louise. By choice, mostly. It's easy to build walls when you have money. People stop trying to look past them. But you didn't ask me for anything. And that's rare." She swallowed. "Because I didn't expect anything. That's exactly why I want to give you something." He reached into his coat and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "It's a lease application. For one of my properties. Rent-free for the first year. No strings." She stared at it. Ben came over, tugged her arm. "Can we live in the building from my drawing?" She looked at Jared. "Is that?" He nodded. "It's already yours. If you want it." The paper trembled in her hands. So many things raced through her: doubt, fear, hope. But louder than all of them was her heartbeat. "Why me?" she asked again. "Because you didn't expect me to." They moved in on a Wednesday. It wasn't glamorous. No photographers. No staff. Just Louise, Ben, 2 borrowed suitcases, and a cab driver who whistled the whole ride. The apartment was nothing like what she'd known. Hardwood floors that didn't creak. Windows that swallowed light. A dishwasher. A working thermostat. Ben called the hallway an echo tunnel and tested his voice until Louise laughed harder than she had in weeks. Jared didn't hover. He stopped by the next day with a bag of groceries and a stack of takeout menus. For the transition, he said casually. They didn't talk about what they were. Or what they weren't. But he came for dinner every Friday. Sometimes they cooked. Sometimes they ordered noodles. Once he brought ingredients and taught Ben how to make pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. Ben insisted they save one for breakfast the next morning. Jared stayed late. Then later. Then one night, when Louise accidentally fell asleep on the couch mid-movie, he covered her with a blanket and whispered, "Good night, Lou." She didn't open her eyes. Didn't need to. The world had shifted again quietly this time. Without a spotlight. But not without meaning. Spring came early. One Saturday, Ben's school hosted a fundraiser picnic. Jared offered to drive. He wore jeans and a baseball cap. Ben introduced him to his teacher as "my mom's friend who makes buildings." Jared just smiled and handed over juice boxes. Louise watched him with a strange mix of awe and comfort. He didn't flinch when people stared. Didn't correct the whispered assumptions. He just stayed beside her, steady and sure. Later that afternoon, while Ben played tag with a group of kids, Louise sat beside Jared under a tree, the grass soft beneath their shoes. "You're not what I expected," she said. He looked over. "You expected worse?" "I expected untouchable." He laughed. "And now? Now I think you're just real?" He reached for her hand. Not boldly, gently. Fingers brushing hers like asking permission. She let him. They sat like that until the sun dipped low. And when he kissed her, slow, certain, the world didn't explode. It settled. Months passed. The lease ended. Jared never brought it up. Louise signed a new one, this time with her name alone. Full rent. No discounts. I need to do this, she told him. I know, he replied. And I'm proud of you. She found a new job. Office admin benefits. Weekends off. She and Ben started making Sunday breakfasts a tradition. Jared never asked her to move in. She never pushed. But he was there. Every dinner. Every scraped knee. Every bedtime story she couldn't finish without crying. He never rushed her. And that, more than anything, made her stay. One December evening, she found him on her balcony holding a mug of something warm, watching snow flurry over the city skyline. You okay? She asked. He nodded. Just thinking. Dangerous habit. He smiled. I was thinking about that night. The restaurant. She stepped beside him. The night you saved us? No, he said. The night you reminded me who I wanted to be. Louise looked at him, really looked. This man who had everything. And chose her. He reached into his coat. Pulled out a small, square box. Her breath caught. But when he opened it, there was no ring. Just a key. To what? She whispered. My table, he said. Forever if you want it. She didn't cry. She nodded. Then kissed him. And somewhere between snowflakes and silence, the world wrote a new beginning, one without shame, without spotlight. Just love. And room for 3 chairs at the table.